Calaroga Shark Media. Welcome to Pager Protocol, Episode 2, Shadows of Hong Kong.
The bustling streets of Hong Kong pulsed with life as Eli Cohen, now fully embodying his cover identity as Alexei Vronsky, made his way through the neon-lit night. The humid air clung to his skin, a stark contrast to the arid climate of Zion City he'd left behind. His eyes, sharp and alert, scanned the crowded sidewalks for any sign of surveillance. Eli's secure phone vibrated in his pocket. A text message appeared. Jade Palace, 30 minutes, come alone. Jay. He allowed himself a small smile. Jade Chen, his contact within Silvertech Communications, had chosen their rendezvous point well. The popular restaurant would be crowded enough to provide cover, yet not so exclusive as to draw unwanted attention. As he navigated the labyrinthine streets, Eli's mind raced through the briefing he'd received from General Ben David. The stakes of Operation Pager Protocol were astronomical. Success would give Nexus unprecedented access to Crescent Shield's inner workings. Failure wasn't an option. At precisely the appointed time, Eli stepped into the Jade Palace. The cacophony of voices and clinking dishes washed over him as he scanned the room. In a corner booth, partially obscured by a large potted plant, sat a woman in her mid-30s. Her attention seemingly focused on the menu before her. Eli approached casually, sliding into the seat across from her. "The dumplings here are excellent," he said in flawless Mandarin, the prearranged code phrase rolling off his tongue. The woman, Jade Chen, looked up, a flicker of recognition in her eyes. "I prefer the Peking duck," she replied, completing the exchange. "It's good to finally meet you, Mr. Vronsky." As they ordered, maintaining their cover as business associates, Jade briefed Eli on the situation at Silvertech. "Li Wei is paranoid," she murmured, her lips barely moving. "He's tripled security since landing the Crescent Shield contract. Getting access to the pages won't be easy." Eli nodded, his expression neutral. "Tell me about the supply chain. How are the pages manufactured?" Jade took a sip of tea before responding. "Silvertech doesn't actually make the pages here. They're produced by a subcontractor, Quantum Relay Systems, in Budapest. Li Wei's company is just the middleman." This was new information, not included in Ben David's briefing. Eli's mind raced, calculating the implications. "So we need to intercept the shipment between Budapest and Hong Kong?" Jade shook her head. "Too risky. But I've managed to convince Li Wei that we need to perform additional quality control checks before shipping to Crescent Shield. That's our window." As their food arrived, Eli and Jade continued their discussion, voices low and faces animated, as if engaged in nothing more than a spirited business negotiation. Eli learned of the tight security surrounding the pager shipment, the complex series of authentications required to access the secure storage facility, and the narrow 48-hour window they would have to make the switch. As the meal concluded, Jade slipped Eli a keycard hidden within a business card holder. "This will get you into the Silvertech building, but be careful. It'll only work once. Make it count." Eli pocketed the card, his expression grave. "What's our timeline?" "The shipment arrives from Budapest tomorrow night. We'll have 48 hours before it's due to leave for the Middle East. Whatever we're going to do, it has to happen within that window." With a final nod, Jade stood to leave. As she passed Eli, she whispered, "Watch your back. We're not the only ones interested in those pages." As Jade disappeared into the Hong Kong night, Eli sat back, his mind processing the new information. The operation was growing more complex by the minute. He needed to update Ben David, but first he had preparations to make. Thousands of miles away, in a nondescript office building in Langley, Virginia, CIA analyst Sarah Miller was burning the midnight oil. The puzzling shipment of pages to the Middle East had caught her attention, and she wasn't about to let it go. "Talk to me, Sarah," said Director Thompson, his gruff voice tinged with impatience. "What have you found?" Sarah pulled up a series of documents on her computer. "It's not just the destination that's odd, sir. It's the manufacturer. Silvertech Communications in Hong Kong is listed as the supplier, but they're not the actual manufacturer." Thompson leaned in, his interest piqued. "Go on." "The pages are being made by a company called Quantum Relay Systems in Budapest. It's a relatively new outfit, only been around for a couple of years. But here's the kicker. Their revenue jumped by over 500% in the last quarter." "New contracts?" Sarah shook her head. "Just one. This shipment to the Middle East, routed through Silvertech. It doesn't add up, sir. Why would a militant group suddenly need thousands of outdated pages? And why go through such a convoluted supply chain to get them?" Thompson's eyes narrowed. "You think there's more to these pages than meets the eye?" "I'd bet my career on it, sir. Permission to dig deeper?" Thompson nodded, his expression grim. "Do it, but keep it quiet. If there's something going on here, we don't want to tip our hand." As Sarah turned back to her computer, a new determination in her eyes, Thompson couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the verge of uncovering something big. Something that could shift the balance of power in one of the world's most volatile regions. Back in Hong Kong, Eli Cohen found himself in his hotel room, meticulously planning his infiltration of Silvertech. The keycard Jade had provided would get him in the door, but navigating the building's security and accessing the pager shipment would require all of his skill and ingenuity. As he worked, Eli's secure phone chimed. A video call from General Ben David. Eli answered, his expression neutral. "Report, Cohen," Ben David said without preamble, his face filling the screen. Eli quickly briefed his superior on the meeting with Jade and the new information about quantum relay systems. Ben David's expression remained impassive, but Eli could see the wheels turning behind those piercing eyes. "This complicates things," Ben David mused. "We'll need to investigate this quantum relay systems, but for now, focus on the task at hand. You have 48 hours to make the switch once that shipment arrives." Eli nodded. "Understood, sir. But there's something else. Jade warned me that we might not be the only ones interested in these pages." Ben David's eyes narrowed. "Elaborate." "She didn't have specifics, sir, but the implication was clear. Someone else is sniffing around this operation, CIA maybe, or another intelligence agency." For a moment, Ben David was silent, his mind working through the implications. "Proceed with extreme caution, Cohen. If we're not alone in this, the risk of exposure increases exponentially. Success is paramount, but not at the cost of compromising Nexus or your identity. Am I clear?" "Crystal clear, sir." As the call ended, Eli turned back to his preparations, a new sense of urgency driving him. The operation was balancing on a knife's edge, with forces beyond his control threatening to tip the scales. In the pre-dawn hours, as Hong Kong's nightlife finally began to quiet, Eli made his final preparations. He double-checked his equipment, ran through the building schematics one last time, and steeled himself for what was to come. As the first rays of sun began to peek over the horizon, Eli stepped out of his hotel, blending seamlessly into the early morning crowd. His destination, Silvertech Communications. His mission, to set in motion a plan that would change the face of modern espionage. Little did he know that at that very moment, in a secure bunker thousands of miles away, Tariq al-Said, the leader of Crescent Shield, was eagerly anticipating the arrival of the very pages Eli sought to compromise. "Soon," al-Said murmured to his assembled lieutenants, "we will have a communication network that even the vaunted Nexus cannot penetrate. And then, my brothers, we will show the world the true might of Crescent Shield." As a new day dawned across 3 continents, the players in this high-stakes game moved their pieces into place. In Hong Kong, Eli Cohen prepared to infiltrate Silver Tech. In Virginia, Sarah Miller dug deeper into the mysterious pager shipment. And in the hidden bunkers of Crescent Shield, anticipation grew for a technological upgrade that promised invulnerability. The clock was ticking, the game was afoot, and the fate of nations hung in the balance.
Pager Protocol is a production of Calaroga Shark Media. Executive producers Mark Francis and John McDermott. Portions of this podcast may have been produced with the assistance of AI. This show is also available commercial-free. Check the show notes for all the links. Calaroga Shark Media.